health break, and business of the House will resume at 17 hours. We look at business that has been discussed on the floor of the House from the time the House started sitting at 14:30 hours.
Madam Speaker did make two announcements. In the first announcement, Madam Speaker recognized the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Ibala Secondary School in the Lusaka district. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, warmly welcomed the visitors to the National Assembly.
And there was also another announcement by the Honorable Madam Speaker in which she recognized in the public gallery of Pastorate from Chongwe district. And Pastorate is a group of pastors who came together with a vision of supporting children in Chongwe district. And on behalf of the National Assembly, she welcomed the visitors to the institution.
There was a presentation of one government bill by the Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning. That's the State-Owned Enterprises Bill, National Assembly Bill number 37 of 2025. The bill was read the first time and referred to the Committee on Parastatal Bodies. The committee is expected to bring a report to the House in due course.
And after that, the House went on to consider one question for oral answer understanding Order 82. And this came from Chinsali Member of Parliament, Mr. Kalalo Mukosa. We cross back the floor of the House.
Bells are ringing, which signifies that a quorum has not yet been constituted. It is a requirement that 1/3 of members of Parliament need to be present for business to be transacted on the floor of the House. So once a quorum is constituted, we do expect business of the House to resume. And at the time business was suspended for the a private member's motion that has been moved by Mr. Christopher Kangombe, that this House urges the government to implement measures aimed at increasing the crop yield per hectare for farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program. And the Member of Parliament, Mr. was on the floor debating the motion, and so we do expect him to continue with his debate once business of the House resumes.
Yes, other business that has been considered on the floor of the House includes one question for oral answer understanding Order 82. This is a question of urgent nature that came from Chinsali Member of Parliament, Mr. Kalalo Mukosa, and he directed his question to the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. He wanted to know whether government is aware that for the past 2 weeks, Chinsali district has been experiencing erratic water supply. And part B of the question, if so, what urgent measures are being taken to resolve the problem and avert the outbreak of waterborne diseases.
The House has also considered 3 questions for oral answer understanding Order 80. These are questions
Honorable
of
Member for
ordinary nature.
Mwebeji, where is the Honorable Member for Kamfisa?
And still to be considered, we do expect the House to consider 4 bills at different stages. 3 bills will be considered at second reading stage, and 1 bill will be considered at report stage. The Teaching Profession Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2025. Just now, we take you to the floor of the House.
Order, Honorable Members, order. When business was suspended, the House was considering the private member's motion moved by the Honorable Member for Kamfisa that this House urges government to implement measures aimed at increasing the crop yield per hectare for farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program, FISIP, and the Honorable Member for Kasanengwa was debating. May the Honorable Member continue.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. As I wind up, I would want to say we should not politicize this very important issue. Madam Speaker, we need to make sure that the Ministry of Agriculture monitors these agriculture extension officers and ensure that they have accommodation in the in the areas where they are assigned to carry out their duties. We went to Namwala one time during our tour. The agriculture extension officer was not there. And the reason given was that there was no accommodation for him. So all those are the factors, Madam Speaker, that we need to look at. Even increasing the number of bags, bags of fertilizer and other farming inputs, what we call a pack. We can increase those, Madam Speaker, and monitor these farmers, see where they are managing and see where they are failing, so that from there, Madam Speaker, we can make the necessary improvements. With these few remarks, Madam Speaker, I want to support this motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Looking at the business on the order paper, we still have a lot. So what I'll do is I'll allow one member for the motion, one member against the motion, then the minister, acting minister will respond, and then the mover will wind up and we make a decision. So the next one from the people who are opposing, I'm hoping that you are opposing. The honorable member for Chikankata is the next. If you are opposing, you can debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. The mover is looking at me. I'm opposing, Madam Speaker. However, Madam Speaker, allow me to thank the mover of the motion and the seconder. Madam Speaker, the motion is okay, but government is already on top of things. Whatever they are asking for, government is implementing. We have extension officers in the field. FISIP was delivered on time. Money is paid to our farmers. We paid, according to the budget that we had for 2025, farmers were paid, but we had more than what we had planned, and people are being paid right now. However, Madam Speaker, it's important for people to understand the genesis of FISIP, because you cannot just come and say this is not being done when you don't understand the genesis of FISIP. The people who came up with FISIP, they were looking at the issue of production in masses to secure household security, food security. Madam Speaker, when we came into office, we found that, before I go further, Madam Speaker, it's important that the mover of this motion should go on the ground. If we are going to sit on a table and analyze the issue of FISIP, you will not get the correct information. But you go in the field, like some of us, we are in the field, in our constituencies. That's the issue we discuss every day. Hence, we understand and appreciate how FISIP is working. Madam Speaker, when we came in the office, we found a lot of farmers on FISIP. We have a lot of cooperatives. I'll give you an example. One cooperative will have 100 members. And Chikankata will have 14,000 packs. So now when you look at the members in a cooperative and times the number of cooperatives in a district, divide by the packs, the numbers are few. The reason is very simple. There was no guidance on how many people should be put in a cooperative. I know what you are talking about, Honorable Fode. You, where you come from, farming is not part of you. I come from a farming area. Yours is fish farming, not crop farming. Fish farming, not crop farming. So what we found on the ground, Madam Speaker, is that in one cooperative, there are 100 members. What we needed to do from the beginning, people are supposed to be guided. Order. From the beginning, Madam Speaker, when FISIP started, people are supposed to be guided the number of members in a cooperative. But if we understand FISIP, we all know that a crop, a maize crop in this country is a political crop. And even the coming of FISIP, it was connected to politics. Hence, people were not given the correct information to have how many members should be in a cooperative. So now, if you have 100 members in a cooperative and you give them 20 packs, What do we expect? Our farmers, because they want to work together, instead of him having 6 bags of fertilizer, they are sharing. They end up having 2 bags each. And then the other members of the cooperative, they don't have the fertilizer. This is the reason why, in relation to the number of cooperatives, by the youth, you can't have the numbers that you have. That's why I'm saying, don't use the research approach. Go on the ground and have the practical things that are happening on the ground. You appreciate that government is doing the right thing.
Yes.
So if you are just calculating figures on the table, you will not get the correct information. So everything government is doing, but the only thing that we have to work on is the issue of numbers. I don't support the motion because the motion is saying that government should bring more extension workers. We have extension workers. But it was your government that recruited more members in cooperatives without giving them the correct numbers.
Order, honorable members. Let's allow the honorable member for Chikankata to debate. Honorable member for Chikankata, debate through the chair.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, like I said earlier on, is that the problem is not government. Government has given us everything. But the numbers that were recruited before we came in, and I said earlier on that one cooperative has 100 members, and then that cooperative is given maybe 20 packs, which is not enough, and it was not enough. This is the reason under the new Dawn government, we are trying to restructure, starting from the cooperative. For us to do that, it's very annoying to see people who caused the problem to come today using a different dot to say that we are failing as a government when we are doing our part. Let's agree and offer solutions. Like the Honorable Member of Parliament from Mwembeshi said that what we expect from this motion were solutions, using how do we come up with solutions, and like blame game. So me as a person coming from a rural constituency, I understand and appreciate FISIP. I don't support this motion because it has not given solutions. When you bring a motion on the floor of the House, it should offer solutions. And the role of opposition political party is to give alternative solution to a ruling party, and like just accusation, no, that will not allow. Yes. So if you want relevance in this government, offer solutions, not just accusation, because whatever we are doing, it is coming from the same people who caused these problems. Madam Speaker, as a member of Parliament for Chikankata, I don't support this motion because the motion needed to give solution, not accusation. The government is doing everything, and we are on a path also to restructure the numbers of members in our cooperative so that people are able to
the Honorable Member for Kasanengwa. Honorable Member for Kasanengwa.
I can't agree with what I don't know his interest. So, Madam
what
Speaker,
is contained in that water? Please, Honorable Member for Kasanengwa, go back. Please go back to your seat.
So, Madam Speaker, with these few words, I don't support the motion. It's very difficult to support it or to debate it because it doesn't have content. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The last speaker for those who are supporting the motion, Honorable Member for Chama North.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. I think my debate, Madam Speaker, is very, very brief. I want, first of all, to commend the Honorable Kangombe for coming up with such a very progressive motion. I also want to commend my brother, Honorable Fuwe, for supporting this motion. Madam Speaker, what Honorable Kangombe is asking the government to do is very simple. In his motion, Honorable Kangombe is urging the government to implement measures to increase crop yield per hectare for farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program. I think this motion resonates very, very well with the new dawning ambition of achieving 10 million metric tons of maize by 2027. Now, if the yield is poor, how do we expect farmers? How do we expect the country to achieve the 10 million metric tons? So I think as we are looking at this motion, I hope that your members on the right, on your right-hand side, Madam Speaker, will be able to rethink twice and support this particular motion. Madam Speaker, we know that currently we have a very good market in the region, in Mozambique, Congo, Zimbabwe, and so many countries. And we have been implementing export maize bans almost every year. Why are we implementing maize export bans? It's because we don't have enough maize. We don't grow enough maize. So why don't we help these small-scale farmers under FISI for them to increase the example? The government will be able to ensure that when distributing fertilizer, we must take into account ecological zones. Because currently you find that fertilizer is distributed across the board without looking at the soil type. So these are some of the measures which the government can actually implement in order to increase the hectareage concerning the small-scale farmers. If we look at the farming practices, Zambia has been independent for more than 60 years now. But our people in Kaputa, in Chama, are still using outdated methods of farming. So if you are still using outdated methods of farming, how can you increase the hectare? So these are some of the measures which Honorable Kangombe is trying to appeal to this government to ensure that we improve our farming practices. A long time ago, to us who at least were there during KK, we used to have tractors. We used to have tractors in almost many of the wards in our constituency. But over the years now, you can't find tractors now in rural areas. And meanwhile, we are there saying, no, we want to achieve the 10 million metric tons. So how are we going to achieve the 10 million metric tons if at all this small-scale farmer is not helped? Because the majority of the people who grow maize actually are small-scale farmers. So if we ensure that we help these farmers, it's not only ensuring that we have national food security, household food security, and also increasing that there is a increased household income, and therefore eradicating poverty. We also need to increase the number of packs. The Honorable there was saying that people have been sharing. Why are they sharing? Because by the time when this government, I mean the MMD government, introduced FISIP in 2002, the population of Zambia was about 10 million. But now the population of Zambia is more than 20 million. So you find that, yes, there will be more people in the cooperatives because the population has increased. So it means that the government now must increase the packs so that our farmers, small-scale farmers, do not share the fertilizer. So there are so many measures, including measures to employ more extension officers. Because currently we still have inadequate extension officers who are able actually to teach our farmers new methods of farming. So in conclusion, I think this is a very, very progressive motion, Madam Speaker, and if we have to address poverty, escalating poverty levels in this country, I think we must do something to ensure that our small-scale farmers are well looked after. So with these few remarks, I want to state that I fully support this motion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Acting Minister of Agriculture to respond.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank you most sincerely for according me an opportunity to make a submission on the motion moved by Mr. C. Kangombe. Madam Speaker, government has been implementing the Farmer Input Support Program with the aim of improving access to affordable agricultural inputs by small-scale farmers across the country. Without this support, with this support by government, many of our farmers would not have access to inputs. The Farmer Input Support Program itself is a deliberate measure meant to enhance production per hectare or productivity. Therefore, the over 1 million farmers under the program are benefiting through increased production. During the 2024-2025 farming season, the country recorded a maize bumper harvest of 3.7 million metric tons. This achievement was made possible mainly through the implementation of the Farmer Input Support Program. By provision of inputs to the over 1 million plus farmers, government facilitated increased production. The transition to the e-voucher system, which has enabled government to provide inputs in good time and allowed farmers to plant early and increase production. Madam Speaker, government is alive to the fact that more needs to be done to make the farmers understand FISIP more productive. With the targets we have set to increase maize production to 10 million metric tons, wheat production to 1 million metric tons, and soybeans production to 1 million tons by 2031, it is even more imperative that other complementary measures are implemented to improve productivity. In this regard, I wish to inform the House that through implementing interventions designed under the Comprehensive Agriculture Transformation Support Program, or CASP, we are on course towards improved productivity. Allow me to highlight the specific measures under implementation. Madam Speaker, government has continued to link farmers to access to credit offered under projects supported by cooperating partners and private sector to scale up their production. Through the different credit facilities, farmers can buy equipment and other inputs to enable them to be more productive. With the increasing impacts of climate change on productivity, as well as the need to promote year-round production, government is promoting irrigation development across the country. We have constructed dams, weirs, and small irrigation systems to enhance farmer productivity both during normal rainfall seasons and during low rainfall seasons. Further, government has established mechanization centers of excellence and mechanization service centers to improve farmer access to mechanization services. With access to mechanization, drudgery is eliminated and productivity is increased. Madam Speaker, we are living in a world of constant agricultural technological advancements. Therefore, we are investing in research and development, which is delivering new agricultural technologies to enhance crop yields. For example, through our research institutions, we have been able to develop yield-enhancing and drought-tolerant seed varieties, which are key to increased productivity. In addition, we are implementing a countrywide soil testing and mapping. Once the soil testing is completed, it will allow us to make region-specific fertilizer recommendations as opposed to the current blanket application of fertilizer. This is very key in enhancing productivity among all categories of farmers, but more so for farmers under FISIP. Further, we have continued to strengthen our national seed certification and compliance machinery through capacity building. By improving our seed regulation and inspection system, we are rooting out the practice of selling fake and uncertified seed, which is detrimental to productivity. Madam Speaker, a conducive policy legal framework is catalytic to investment and productivity. Currently, government is implementing policy reforms aimed at improving agricultural marketing and credit. With the enactment of new legislation of agricultural marketing and agricultural credit, well-functioning agricultural markets and credit systems will be a huge incentive for farmers to be productive. For instance, the agriculture credit law will establish a warehousing licensing system which will enable farmers to have access to warehousing facilities and utilize their stock positions as collateral for loans. With improved access to storage and finance, farmers can obtain fair prices and be more productive. Madam Speaker, agriculture and farming in particular is increasingly evolving due to climate change and on account of agroeconomic and economic factors. For farmers to adapt to the constant changes, extension service provision becomes essential. Through government efforts in collaboration with the private sector, we are improving extension services. We have increased the number of farmers accessing training in climate-smart agriculture technologies, business development, and improved modern farm management practices. Government will continue to implement the measures I have highlighted and many more others to ensure that increasing crop yield per hectare for not only farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program, but for all farmers in the country. Madam Speaker, based on my submission, it is very clear that government is already implementing measures to increase crop yield per hectare for farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program. Government will also continue devising other innovative strategies aimed at increasing yields among all small-scale farmers in the country. I also wish to indicate that we are open to working with partner NGOs, bilateral and multilateral partners, private sector, and indeed members of this august House to implement proven measures to improve farmer productivity across the country. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you, the Honorable Member for Kamfinsa, to wind up debate.
Madam Speaker, allow me once again to thank your office for allowing me to bring this very, very important topic to Parliament today. Madam Speaker, like I always state when I'm given this rare opportunity, we have three functions to perform, Madam Speaker: make laws, provide oversight, approve the national budget. Madam Speaker, today my role was to provide oversight. Madam Speaker, my role today was to bring this topic to Parliament because this is a conversation that has been identified as a problem. We have a problem, Madam Speaker, despite all the catalogued list of interventions that the ministry has implemented. Unfortunately, Madam Speaker, the yield remains low. And unfortunately, this has been identified in literally all the reports. The reports by the Ministry of Agriculture, the data by Central Statistical Office, which is ZAMSTATS today, the yield remains low. And I'm sure even the experts at the Ministry of Agriculture acknowledge that despite all these efforts that government has been trying to implement, the statistics, Madam Speaker, the data remains the same. The data remains that despite producing so much maize, Madam Speaker, each farmer who is supported under FISIP, unfortunately, is not producing enough. And that is why today, Madam Speaker, a very harmless motion, Madam Speaker, a topic that, if implemented, if the experts are going to sit down to review what has been implemented and whether the outcomes are changing. Madam Speaker, the experts now are supposed to tell us, we have tried this intervention, we have provided climate-smart agriculture options, it is not giving us the output. We have tried employing 2 extension services officers, Madam Speaker, they are not giving us the right output. Let's employ more. Madam Speaker, that is what I'm suggesting today, that all these measures you've implemented, unfortunately, Madam Speaker, the data, the official data from the ministry, and I'm sure the experts who are listening to this conversation agree with me that despite all these efforts, unfortunately, Madam Speaker, the statistics are showing that we are not producing enough maize per hectare. And that was my motion today, Madam Speaker. I want to thank my brother, the Member of Parliament from Chilubi, for seconding this motion, for ensuring that we bring this conversation to Parliament. Parliament is not about 156 members of Parliament. It is about the people out there who have sent us to come and speak. And today, Madam Speaker, I have delivered the message to government. Go and implement measures, not those that you have implemented that have not yielded the outcomes. If you've implemented 5 measures and we are still producing only less than 2 tons of maize per hectare, go and identify the other measures. That is why we employ experts, Madam Speaker. That's why we employ experts in the ministry, people who are trained, people who have been equipped with the skills. For us is to deliver the message, Madam Speaker, and I don't think that this motion had any connotations attached. FISIP, Madam Speaker, can be a successful program. It has provided us huge potential. 3 million tons of maize is coming from FISIP. We are producing 3.7. We can do 6 million, Madam Speaker. His Excellency, the President, sat, Madam Speaker, where you are seated and bemoaned the low productivity. It is there in the speech when he opened Parliament 2 months ago. And here I am. I'm reminding government that your 2 tons per hectare is too low. Go and produce more, Madam Speaker, and I don't think this motion had any particular connotations. I thank you once again.
Order. I put the question. The question is that this House urges the government to implement measures aimed at increasing the crop yield per hectare for farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program, FISIP. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Of the contrary say no. I think the noes have it. The noes have it. It's 15. They have 12. Yeah, you are below you have 12. You're supposed to be 15. So let's make progress, honorable members. It's 12. It's supposed to be 15. 12. Okay, then a division is called.
Watching parliamentary television, a division has been called following a private member's
Division is
motion.
called. Ring the bells.
Full member of parliament for Chiluvi. So a division has been called for members to decide to make a decision on the motion.
And we did see quite a number of members of parliament debate the motion. We had Kasenengwa, member of parliament, Mr. Philemon Twasa. We had Chikankata, member of parliament, Ms. Jacqueline Sabau. We also had Chama North, member of parliament, Mr. Yota Mtayachalo, contribute to the motion.
Yes, so that is the motion that the House has to make a decision on whether this motion is adopted or not. So the motion is urging the House that this House urges the government to implement measures aimed at increasing the crop yield per hectare for farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program, FISIP. So the motion was moved by Kamfinsa Member of Parliament, Mr. Christopher Kangumbe, and seconded by Chiluvi Member of Parliament, Mr. Molenga Fube. So the bells are ringing for the members who may be around Parliament buildings to come in the House to make a decision on this motion that has been under discussion.
And still to be considered, we do expect the House to consider 4 bills at different stages. 3 bills will be considered at second reading stage, and 1 bill will be considered at report stage.
And these are the Teaching Profession Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2025, to be considered at second reading stage. We also have the Independent Broadcasting Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27, to be considered at second reading stage. We also have the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 28 of 2025, also to be considered at second reading stage. And then at report stage, we have the Occupational Health and Safety Bill, National Assembly Bill number 17 of 2025. So this is business yet to come for consideration on the floor of the House.
Yes, indeed, and so bells are still ringing. This is on a division that has been called on, a motion that was moved by Mr. Christopher Kangombe, that this House urges the government to implement measures aimed at increasing the crop yield per hectare for farmers under the Farm Input Support Program. And when the question was put, the division was called for, which means the members of parliament have to cast a vote to make a decision on this motion.
Yes, the bells are still ringing, and we'll soon see the House cast a vote on this motion. So, in order to make a decision whether the motion is adopted by the House or not. So the bells will ring for another 5 minutes for the members before the members cast their vote.
Yes, Pauline. And when business resumed, Madam Speaker did make some announcements, and the House has also considered some questions for oral answer. One question for oral answer, understanding Order 82, that's a question of urgent nature, and 3 questions for oral answer, understanding Order 80, these are questions of ordinary nature. And we also had a presentation of a government bill by the Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning, that's the State-Owned Enterprises Bill, National Assembly Bill number 37 of 2025. The bill was read the first time and referred to the Committee on Parastatal Bodies, and the committee is expected to bring a report to the House in due course.
Yes, and earlier on we had 2 announcements that the Honorable Madam Speaker rendered on the floor of the House. She did recognize the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Libala Secondary School in Lusaka. She also recognized the presence in the public gallery of Pastonet from Chongwe, and this is a group of pastors who have come together with a vision of supporting children in the Chongwe district. And on behalf of the National Assembly, the Honorable Madam Speaker welcomed the visitors to the institution.
Yes, indeed. And the question for oral answer, understanding Order 82, came from Mr. Kalalwe Mukosa Chinsali, Member of Parliament. That's question
Close the
109.
bar, clear the lobbies, and lock the doors. The House will vote electronically using the Bosch multimedia unit. Members in the chamber. This one is. The House will vote electronically only using the Bosch multimedia units. Please log in the system. Have we all successfully logged in? When you hear the paging sound, the vote has opened and the voting screen is displayed on your microphone unit. Select the key present. On top of the right side of the screen, you will see the words, please cast your vote. Select one of the options, yes or no or abstain. Once you have selected one of the options, you will see the words, vote has been cast on the right side of the screen. When you hear the second paging sound, the vote will close after 1 minute. One minute is not yet. You have just voted. The results are as follows. Abstain 1. Order. Abstention 1. Yes 16. No 51. The noes have it. The motion is negative. The clerk will now read the orders of the day.
The Teaching Profession Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2025, second reading.
The Honorable Minister of Education.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the bill be now read a second time.
The question is that the bill be now read a second time. Any debate? The Honorable Minister of Education.
Madam Speaker, I wish to thank you most sincerely for giving me this opportunity and honor to deliver the policy statement before this august House on the second reading of the Teaching Profession Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2025. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, education is the constitutional backbone of our national development. At the center of that backbone stands the teacher, the custodian of values, skills, identity, and human capital. When the professional standards of teachers decline, a nation's future is compromised. The Ministry of Education derives its authority over teacher regulation and service delivery from Gazette Notice number 1123 of 2021.
Order, honorable members, order. The honorable members that are going out, please do so quietly. We are in the process of proceedings here. May the honorable minister continue.
Grounded in the Education Act number 23 of 2011 and complementary legislation, this mandate is not aspirational but legal and constitutional. The Teaching Profession Act number 5 of 2013 was enacted to create a regulatory framework. However, its implementation has proven inadequate. Weak enforcement, fragmented disciplinary structure, and the proliferation of unregistered individuals have allowed systemic breaches to persist. These weaknesses have permitted unqualified persons to enter classrooms, jeopardizing our safety, damaged teacher professionalism, and eroded public trust. It is to remedy these deficiencies that the Teaching Professional Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2025 is presented for second reading. Madam Speaker, this bill repeals and replaces the 2013 Act. It is not a partial amendment or incremental adjustment. It is a comprehensive statutory overhaul designed for modern conditions, contemporary risks, and the professionalism expected of those entrusted with teaching. The objects of the bill, Madam Speaker, the bill seeks to continue the existence of the Teaching Council of Zambia, redefine its functions and reconstitute its board, regulate teachers, their practice and professional conduct, provide for the administration of licensure examinations, repeal and replace the Teaching Profession Act 2013, and provide for matters connected with or incidental to the foregoing. Collectively, these objectives elevate teaching as a regulated profession governed by enforceable standards of competence, ethics, and accountability. Madam Speaker, this bill continues the Teaching Council of Zambia as a body of corporate, strengthening its governance, independence, and powers. The board is reconstituted to enhance competence, professional integrity, and operational efficiency. Central to the bill is essential. Registration alone will no longer authorize practice. Every teacher must hold a valid practicing certificate issued under law. This aligns with standards in regulated professions such as health, engineering, and law. To safeguard quality from the outset, the bill introduces essential examinations. These tests will ensure that new entrants possess the requisite knowledge, skills, and ethical disposition before undertaking instructional duties. Madam Speaker, the bill clarifies jurisdiction. Professional misconduct will be adjudicated by the Teaching Council, while employment matters will remain under the Teaching Service Commission or relevant employer. Structured appeal mechanisms guaranteed procedural fairness. Inspectors will be empowered to enter education institutions, verify compliance, and enforce regulatory standards. These enforcement provisions deter impersonation, protect learners, and uphold the integrity and the dignity of teaching. Transitional provisions ensure continuity, recognizing valid certificates, honoring existing rights, and guiding an orderly transfer of functions, assets, and liabilities from the current council. Madam Speaker, the enactment of this bill will reinforce the rule of law in the education sector through clear, uniform compliance requirements. Learners will be protected. Only qualified, registered, and licensed individuals will be permitted to teach. Those who violate standards will be held accountable. Teacher dignity will be restored. Competence, ethics, and professional development will be incentivized. Teachers will be recognized not as administrative subordinates, but as licensed professionals. The bill will reduce disputes between regulatory and employment authorities, minimize delays in disciplinary matters, and foster predictable and fair decision-making. By strengthening professional standards, Zambia will align teacher competence with the demands of a modern economy, digital transition, innovation, and skills-driven growth. Madam Speaker, this bill is not unilateral. It is the product of broad consultations. Teacher unions, training institutions, private education providers, school leaders, Professional associations and provincial stakeholders were engaged in structured dialogue. Legal, administrative, and fiscal consultations were held with the ministries responsible for justice, finance, labor, and defense to ensure enforceability and resource realism. The consensus was clear. The current regulatory regime is weak. The profession requires a modern, enforceable, and equitable instrument. This bill responds directly to that consensus. Madam Speaker, this bill operationalizes Zambia's commitments under the 8th National Development Plan, Vision 2030, and the Education Skills Sector Plan 2024 to 2028. It aligns the UNESCO ILO recommendation concerning the status of teachers and advances Sustainable Development Goal number 4, quality, inclusive, and equitable education. These instruments recognize that teachers are not merely curriculum deliverers, but core agents of national competitiveness, social progress, and human development. Madam Speaker, the Teaching Professional Bill is a necessary reform. It closes long-standing regulatory gaps, protects learners, restores dignity to the profession, and strengthens institutional accountability. Madam Speaker, it also replaces a weak, outdated regime with a modern statutory framework capable of meeting present and future demands. I therefore commend the bill to the Honorable House and urge that it be read a second time. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further debate? The chairperson of the Committee on Education, Science and Technology, the Honorable Member for Kalomo Central.
Madam Speaker, the Committee on Education, Science and Technology was tasked to scrutinize the Teaching Profession Bill number 14 of 2025, pursuant to its mandate as set out in Standing Order number 207/J of the National Assembly of Zambia, Standing Orders 2024. Madam Speaker, let me state from the outset that the committee is in support of the bill. This notwithstanding, stakeholders raised a few concerns which the committee is in agreement with and makes the following observations and recommendations. Madam Speaker, the committee notes with concern that some of the functions of the Teaching Council of Zambia provided for under Clause 4.1a to p overlap with those of the Ministry of Education, the Teaching Service Commission, the Higher Education Authority, and the Zambia Qualifications Authority. In this regard, the committee recommends that the bill be amended to harmonize the mandate of the Teaching Council with other established institutions in the education sector, and where not possible, remove all the overlapping functions in the bill. With regard to Clause 17, the committee notes that the bill provides for a fine not exceeding 500,000 penalty units or a custodial sentence of up to 5 years for a person found practicing as a teacher without a valid practicing license. Further, the committee notes that this provision excludes volunteer teachers who often are unqualified but are relied upon to offer teaching services in most rural community schools which are recognized under the Education Act number 23 of 2011. In view of this, the committee recommends that the bill be amended to reduce both the fine and the custodial sentences that have been provided for in the bill. Madam Speaker, the committee further recommends that the bill should provide clarity on how volunteer teachers will be treated under the proposed bill. Madam Speaker, the committee observes with concern the proposal in Clause 19 to change the license renewal period from 3 years to annually. The committee observes that this may raise administrative burdens and will place a huge financial strain on teachers. In light of this, the committee recommends that the 3-year renewal period should be maintained and that the renewal fees should be reduced so as to lighten the financial burden for the teachers. The committee observes that Clause 4 H provides for the registration of students, teachers. However, the bill does not provide clarity with regard to under what circumstances the student teachers will be required to register, for what purposes, and if they will be expected to undertake licensure exams. Further, the bill lacks clarity as to how student teachers who are on the teaching practice will be treated in view of the proposed teaching practicing certificate. In light of this, the committee recommends that the bill should be amended to exempt and remove student teachers from any kind of registration. Madam Speaker, the committee notes with concern that the bill has introduced a number of fees and charges in clause 8, 10, 19, 23, and 31. 31 and 33, among others. The committee observes with concern that these fees and charges are too many and will result in non-compliance due to financial burdens associated with adherence requirements. This will in turn defeat the goal to enhance professionalism and integrity of the teaching profession. In light of this, the committee recommends that the bill should be amended to provide for streamlined and reduced payment of fees for various services. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, and on behalf of the committee members, I wish to express our deepest gratitude to you, the Office of the Clerk, surely, of the National Assembly, for the guidance and support rendered to the committee throughout its deliberation. The committee is further indebted to all the witnesses who appeared before it for their cooperation in providing the necessary briefs. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further debate? The Honorable Member for Chiluvi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would like to appreciate the chairman for the committee for providing some of the issues that I was supposed to speak to. But Madam Speaker, I have some views to express on the proposed bill. Madam Speaker, apart from that, the proposed bill is talking about professional conduct and many other factors. Part 13 of the Constitution, which talks about values and principles for public service, also accommodates the conduct which is supposed to, the bill is supposed to speak to. Having said that, Madam Speaker, I have problems with some of the clauses. The clause 13D, which is talking about undischarged bankrupts. And when you look at undischarged bankrupts, has been one of those issues that should require a teacher to have their license cancelled. When you look at bankrupts as it is defined by the law, you find that most of the teachers will be considered bankrupt because many of them are on loans, and when you consider their liability versus the assets, it is something else, Madam Speaker. So I would beg on behalf of the teachers that that would have been attended to. Another issue that I wanted to address, Madam Speaker, is the issue of the period for renewal of licensing. We know that some of the people will have access to licensing and they will renew these licenses easily. The period that has been reduced, the 3 years was okay and sitting well. We may have a lot of teachers being jailed because that goes with a penalty as the bill states. And we are afraid that teachers are likely to be, because they are the majority in terms of professional output, we are likely to have a lot of teachers jailed because of laxity in renewal and not meeting the period. Madam Speaker, from clause 13, I think to 27, I find a bit of a problem because there are some of the clauses that seem to contradict, especially on cancellation, and which board is really talking about that. Madam Speaker, just as a way of demonstrating, you find that in clause 13, it will talk about when a teacher has been found guilty and there's a sentence that is supposed to be given by the laws and the like. In another clause, it is talking about a teacher being disciplined because of a disciplinary committee in place, which is not covered by the law, but the other one is covered by the law. Madam Speaker, I also want to talk about the offences in clause 27. Madam Speaker, when we want to address the offences in clause 27, I think I know that the Zambia Qualifications Authority does come in, but it's not only ending there, Madam Speaker. When you look at when teachers are being recruited, I have interacted with recruitment teams when they are recruiting teachers. There are things that government has developed a list of colleges that they agree that when a teacher is coming from such a college, they qualify to be recruited as a teacher. And it has forbidden some of the colleges. I think the Minister of Education can agree with me. And when it comes to offences, Madam Speaker, I think we cannot talk about offences. It is in this House, Madam Speaker, if not a month ago, that we were talking about the Zambia Qualification Authority. We also touched distantly on the Higher Education Authority. Madam Speaker, your House did touch on that one, I think in 2023, but we have not attended to. We saw the problems that were brought forward when we were talking about that audit report concerning the two, when we were told that those that are affiliated to, for instance, to the authority, the Higher Education Authority, the colleges are few compared to what is desired. We have 80% of them registered at PACRA, but only a small percentage is ascribing to the Zambia Higher Education Authority. That gives us a problem, Madam Speaker. And this bill will be mopping a leaking tap because the Zambia Education Authority has not attended to some issues. Because the Zambia Education Authority is a clearinghouse. Before this bill comes to intervene, the Zambia Education Authority would have missed certain things. We saw, Madam Speaker, in your audit that you presented in this House, that the Zambia Education Authority is a skeleton of some sort as things stand. And if that is the case, it means that we will have a lot of teachers that are going to be found wanting by this bill, which the Zambia Education Authority Council board did not attend to. So the people of Turbi are proposing that in as far as we would be excited about dealing with this bill, we also need to attend to the problems that have been caused by the Zambia Education Authority, not act, but the implementation of certain things the way they are supposed to be. Madam Speaker, I also wanted to talk about the teacher-student, because this bill is highly prohibitive on who goes into a classroom to practice as a teacher. But we all know that within the course of a teacher, there is also teaching practice, which has been not taken on board. And that is a gap in the bill. Madam Speaker, I know that whereas the bill wants to talk about professional misconduct, it has not balanced with the professional development of teachers. And this is a misnomer, because you cannot talk about training, skills, as there are in clause 11 and many other factors as requirements for registration, without providing a safety valve for professional development of teachers. Leaves the bill so naked that when government has not taken steps and operate like other professionals do, like the National Council and many other, like the doctors and many other, so that at the end of the day, we may not victimize our professionals, especially that when we look at the Higher Education Authority Act, it is still not bearing the fruits that we intended to harvest. Madam Speaker, with those few words, the people of Turi would like to submit that now, as far as they support certain things that the bill is promoting,
Thank you.
there's need to attend to what we have presented.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kamfinsa.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to make a few comments. I will not utilize the entire 8 minutes. I'll focus, Madam Speaker, on page 9 of the report. This is a report of the committee, and I want to thank the chairperson for the committee. Madam Speaker, on page 9, the last item on page 9, which is clause 28. Madam Speaker, clause 28, second paragraph reads, other stakeholders questioned the purpose of the proposed licensure examinations and sought clarity whether such exams would lead to a professional qualification. Madam Speaker, this is what your report is saying. Your report is saying there are stakeholders that are concerned with coming up with exams. And let me just simplify, let me explain what this particular item is explaining. Madam Speaker, there are institutions of higher learning in Zambia that offer training for those who want to be teachers. And I don't think that we have a problem in terms of the number of training institutions we have in Zambia. We have Nkuruma College, we have Koseko, which is now Mukuba University, where those who come out of grade 12, Madam Speaker, will pick a learning institution. They go and enroll. You pay the fees, you are equipped with skills, you are equipped with knowledge to go and become a teacher. From 1961, from 1964 to where we are now, Madam Speaker, 61 years of independence. All of us who are seated here, Madam Speaker, and those that are out there in society have gone through the hands of a teacher. And here we are even able to speak very good English, Madam Speaker, prepared by the people who have been trained to be teachers. This clause is proposing that when you come out of grade 12, you enroll into a college, you are not ready to teach. That's what clause 28 is saying. That those who have a 3-year diploma in teaching or a 4-year degree in teaching, they are not ready to teach. That is what clause 28 is saying. It's proposing, Madam Speaker, that they need to be subjected to an exam. That is what this law is proposing. That after you acquire your degree or your diploma, you are still not ready to teach. But for 61 years, Madam Speaker, teachers have been giving us knowledge. Teachers have been giving us the skills, the ability to say, this is how you do your mathematics, this is how you do your biology, this is how you do your English, this is how you do your geography. That is how we have reached where we are, Madam Speaker. And stakeholders are saying, and I'll read again, other stakeholders questioned the purpose of the proposed examinations and sought clarity whether such exams would lead to a professional qualification. And my thinking, Madam Speaker, is that we already have institutions of higher learning that train teachers. Let us analyze the problem. Is the problem the fact that there is no other exam we subject the teachers to? Or the problem is that the curriculum that is offered at these higher learning institutions is not good enough? Why should we ask people to go and sit for another exam to be teachers? Madam Speaker, teachers have already been doing their work. And I want to commend the teachers who have exercised professionalism. They have trained engineers. They've prepared doctors, Madam Speaker. They've prepared different types of citizens who are responsible today. Why should we subject such hardworking men and women to another exam? Unless it's a professional qualification, which will serve another purpose. But if it's for purposes of going to sit in class, to teach our children who are growing up in the rural part of Zambia, in the urban part of Zambia, let the current qualification suffice. You come out of Nkrumah College, you are ready to teach, Madam Speaker. You are ready to teach. If there's a primary school that is in Mwense, you are ready to teach. But if there's another qualification, there's another exam we need to subject these teachers to, I think someone has to explain what purpose that will serve, unless we are questioning the preparation of our learning institutions, Madam Speaker. So my submission is that, based on that lack of clarity, I do not support the idea that teachers who have the skills, they have the knowledge, they've trained people for 61 years, should be subjected to another exam, unless it's a professional qualification that will serve another purpose, not to prevent these young men and women that are supposed to become teachers. And there are opportunities for employment. People want jobs, so why should you subject them to another examination? Madam Speaker, I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kafue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm also I'll be very brief because I wish I had done some good justice in terms of reading through the report. But based on the highlights made by the chair, I wanted to agree on the aspect of retaining the 3-year period for renewal of these teachers' licenses. The teachers are already burdened, with this particular payment, more especially in the private sector. For the public service teachers, they have a way of deducting these monies monthly, but which is not the case with the private sector, and it is a challenge. So I wanted just to rise to support this particular aspect, because these same different charges that have already been alluded to, when you bring them together, they translate into this high transaction costs of doing business in the education sector, especially in the private sector. And that is not the aim of government. Government always has sought to find a way of reducing the cost of doing business. And so we should not bring in these necessary and other additional payments or even increased payments just to make it easier. I couldn't have spoken any better than the Honorable Member for Kamfisa here has done on the issue of licentiate exams. First of all, I was questioning on the practicality of actually administering these exams, given that the teaching profession, has maybe even the highest number of personnel, in this country. So how would we, subject these teachers in their huge numbers to these exams? In the past, these particular exams, especially for those private sector workers, used to be there. And I think they couldn't even be sustained because of this same issue of practicality in terms of administering the exams from time to time. What more if we now introduce this requirement also to the huge numbers of teachers? Clearly, it just means that we may not succeed. Then there was the aspect of some overlapping roles between different, departments within the education sector. Yes, it would be good that we eliminate, the overlaps, because clearly those would translate into conflicting roles. But at the same time, I was thinking of the way now we register cooperatives or organized groups. I've been thinking, how come that in that area this has really not been it has not been a problem. We've had institutions registering with registrar of societies, others registering with PACRA, but at the end of the day, they end up with an identified certificate from an issuing, institution. So, given the numbers again, I was saying, well, would it really be a problem if some of these roles actually can be shared among different players within the education sector? Because if you look at the disciplinary aspect, for instance, the way it has been happening, sometimes it's not even possible to see a matter concluded up to its logical end. A teacher would have committed an offense, some time back. And this disciplinary thing will go on and go on and go on, and it will not be concluded until its retirement time. So if there are some areas that will not cause a lot of harm in terms of doing some kind of division of labor, I think it's worth considering so that there's more efficiency in the education sector. Those are the few thoughts, Madam Speaker, that I thought I would add to the debate. Thank you so much.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Shiwangandu.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for allowing me to make a few comments on this bill which has come for second reading. Madam Speaker, yes, indeed, it's progressive, but we must pay attention to some of the concerns our stakeholders have raised. Madam Speaker, and one of the concerns is under Part 3, Clause 9, which is talking about registration of teachers and issuance of practicing certificates. Under Clause 9, Madam Speaker, there is a suggestion of imposing punitive measures with regards to those that may be found to be practicing unregistered, which could be due to a number of reasons. Here they are even proposing custodial punitive measures, Madam Speaker. Now you may recall, you may wish to know that sometimes a teacher could be licensed with a certificate, but in between time of renewal, maybe someone is constrained financially, there is that gap, that delay. So if this person is found, they are liable to be sanctioned. And the proposed punitive measures, which are including custodial, must be discouraged, Madam Speaker, because this delay could just be as a result of genuinely a teacher, being strained in terms of financial capacity. So there must be exemptions. And I think I agree with the committee, which has recommended administrative sanctions with this matter. Madam Speaker, the other issue is the administration of licensure exams. The stakeholders obviously have supported this licensure exams before registration of teachers, as this obviously would encourage teachers, training colleges to provide high quality education to the teachers. However, they have also expressed some concerns with respect to how the Teaching Council of Zambia would treat volunteer teachers who lack the requisite qualifications, but were relied upon to offer teaching services in most rural communities. Madam Speaker, most of my colleagues here who are rural MPs will attest to the fact that these volunteer teachers who volunteer to help their fellow citizens, young learners, do it out of passion for education. They are not paid. In some cases, they depend on the communities just giving them, a few handouts of food. But they are committed to teach. And those, I know my colleagues are agreeing with me, most of our community schools in the rural areas are supported by these non-qualified teachers who are volunteers. So we need to make sure that they are supported, because whilst you want to ensure quality, sometimes you may just create a very big challenge, especially for those in the rural areas. The other matter, Madam Speaker, is proposed disciplinary matters. Madam Speaker, under Clause 28, Code of Ethics, the bill proposed to introduce Code of Ethics when there was an already existing Code of Ethics superintended over by the Teaching Service Commission. And so there's a proposal that this clause should be harmonized with the Teaching Service Commission Code of ethics. So let's not throw away what is already in practice. And as they say, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. But if it means you want to enhance, certainly you need to find a way of harmonizing, Honorable Minister, so that the Teaching Service Commission, which has been doing a commendable job, is not overshadowed. Madam Speaker, there's also a concern with regards to Clause 41, Disciplinary Committee. The stakeholders expressed concern that the removal of teacher union representatives from the Disciplinary Committee and professional associations representatives weakened legitimacy of the decisions of the committee. They further submitted that this would lead to perceptions of unfairness due to lack of peer voice. Madam Speaker, these teacher unions know their members very well. And indeed, they are the best to appreciate the parameters of how people should be disciplined. And therefore, their voice on this committee is very critical, Madam Speaker, because if you just bring people that are strangers to the teaching conditions, it will be very difficult to make out fair decisions insofar as discipline is concerned. There's also a concern regarding, Madam Speaker, Clause 44, which is speaking to the powers of the disciplinary committee. The concern here is that there is a contradiction between Clause 44 2C, which compels persons summoned by the committee to answer to questions, and Clause 44.4, which provides that a person shall not be compelled to answer a question. Madam Speaker, when you are invited to appear before disciplinary action, there must be clarity on what liberties you have, even as an accused person. So there's need to harmonize. If the person is not to answer to questions which may end up implicating the person, they may be at liberty. So there is need to be clear on what it is that we are suggesting here. Lastly, Madam Speaker, it's an issue of register student teachers. Madam Speaker, here the bill doesn't provide. Madam Speaker, it's a standard practice that those that are student teachers will have to go and do attachments for practicing teaching. While they are performing that duty, there is need for the law to provide for them. But here, there is a concern that this is not provided for, and therefore the committee observes that the teacher training institutions under which the student teachers belong are also regulated by the Higher Education Authority. So again, there are other pieces of registration, and our role here as legislators is to ensure that, Madam Speaker, in winding up, is to appeal to the minister who has brought these amendments to ensure that our role here is not ignored, of ensuring that the pieces of registration that we pass are not in conflict at any given time. So there is need to ensure that the existing pieces of registration, the legal framework is harmonized. I submit, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Education, winding up debate.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I would like to thank the chairperson for the committee for those comments that you made over the bill. Also to thank the people who have actually debated the bill. But let me just say a few things so that we are in consonant with what is happening. I know the Member of Parliament for Kamfisa was saying we've been doing this from 1961, I don't know, 1964 up to today. This is the 21st century. 1964 was in the 20th century. So we are evolving with time, right? So that in the future, and probably you might not see it today, but we are trying to safeguard the future of our profession. That is the reason why we are actually putting up this bill. It may not be seen today, but you and me, our grandchildren, will appreciate that we enacted a bill that safeguarded a teacher. All these professions that we are talking about come from a teacher. So if there must be an ethical person or professional standing, not getting a professional, a certificate that you have. Anybody can have a certificate, but are they grounded in those ethical issues? You gave an example of this, our teachers have been teaching us. Even professors teach lawyers. But before you are admitted to the bar, you go to Ziare. And you usually know that there can be 600 of you there. Only 23 who get their licenses to be on the bar. So we are trying to say that now, if the people who teach those people, it's not questioning them. It is actually how you are going to practice at the bar. And this is, it's only that we are probably late, but better late than never. This is how we are trying now to create our own country to be at that level. When you talk about the essential exams, Madam Speaker, Seychelles comes to recruit teachers here internationally. And we are becoming, if you like, people who are attracted. We are an attraction of our teachers. But when they come here, they don't just pick them. For example, this law is meant to those who are coming. We are not going to start examining those teachers who are already there, because it was not there. So law cannot be retrospective. So whoever is now coming, we want to start. Seychelles comes to recruit teachers here. Even those who are already teaching, they are subjected to an exam. You cannot go and teach in Seychelles if you do not have a licentiate certificate. So we're just trying to prepare our people to be, if you like, competitive in the world. That is what we are trying to do. Like I said earlier, Madam Speaker, it may not be now, but the future would have actually sorted it out. So this is just protecting the future. Like I gave the example. Do you question the professors from the University of Zambia who teach law that they have to go to Ziare and fail the exam? So what were the professors doing? So it's a different issue altogether. So people should not be afraid. Certain things, you want to protect the future. And for me, we're actually protecting the future. If we lost it ourselves, we should not make the future generation lose it. One day we'll be told to say that you enacted this, your father or your grandfather was in Parliament at that time. Thank you very much for your grandfather called Mr. Kangombe for enacting this. 20 years later on, we've benefited. That is what this bill is all about. Over the 3 years and dividing it in 1 year, we are not increasing anything. It is 3 years streamlined, the same. Because we recently even reduced the amounts. The president had directly said that there's too much, reduce it. We reduced it by 15%. So we are envisaging that the same amount divided by 3. So if you are going to pay for 3 years, you pay 3 kwacha. And then we say that every year pay 1 kwacha. By the time that reaches 3 years, it will be 3 kwacha. It will even strain them now if you say that pay 3 kwacha for the next 3 years. And we are the same people who are saying that they don't have enough money. So if you charge them everything and you wait for another what, we will be reducing them to pay every year 1 kwacha. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. Time to make the decision. I put the question. The question is that the bill be now read a second time. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary say no. I think the ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. Let the bill be read a second time.
The Teaching Profession Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2025.
Committee stage to be taken when?
In due course, Madam Speaker.
Committee stage to be taken in due course. Next bill.
The Independent Broadcasting Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2025. Second reading.
The Honorable Minister Acting Minister of Information and Media.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the bill be now read a second time.
The question is that the bill be now read a second time. Any debate? The Honorable Minister of Information, Acting Minister of Information and Media.
Madam Speaker, I want to thank you for according me this opportunity to submit an input on this very important bill, the Independent Broadcasting Authority Bill number 27 of 2025. The IBA was established under the Act number 17 of 2002. The Act has been amended twice. 2010 Amendment Act number 26 removed public broadcasting service licenses and the ad hoc committee on board appointments. 2017 Amendment Act number 18 empowered IBA to collect and administer the television levy. Since then, several technology and legal developments have emerged, making the current law inadequate. The present bill does not sufficiently address online broadcasting, technological convergence, or changes in the ICT ecosystem. Madam Speaker, at its 20th meeting on 29 October 2025, Cabinet approved in principle the publication and introduction of the Independent Broadcasting Authority Bill 2025. The bill aims to, 1, strengthen IBA's capacity to regulate the broadcasting industry. 2, enhance corporate governance, accountability, and professionalism. 3, align Zambia's broadcasting regulation with international best practice and standards. Madam Speaker, the objects of the bill is to, 1, continue the existence of IBA and refine its function, reconstitute the IBA board and its function, regulate the broadcasting industry in Zambia, promote pluralism and diversity in broadcasting.
Sorry, Honorable Member for Chama South, please, the quorum is going to drop shortly. Please, if you can just wait until another member comes, unless if it's a agent. May the Honorable
and replace the IB 002. 6, address all matters incidental or related to these objectives. Madam Speaker, the rationale for repeal and replacement of the bill are, among others.
Order, Honorable Minister. There's quorum has dropped. We need to ring the bell.
The bells are ringing, signifying that the quorum in the House has dropped. It is a requirement that 1/3 of the members of Parliament have to be present for business to continue. So in this case, the bells are ringing for the members of Parliament to come back to the House. for business to continue. And under consideration, Taza,
is the Independent Broadcasting Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2025, at second reading stage. And just before this, the House did consider the Teaching Profession Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2025 at second reading stage, and the committee stage is expected to be considered in due course.
yes, and the yet to come is the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 28 of 2025, also to be considered at the second reading stage. We also have the Occupational Health and Safety Bill, National Assembly Bill number 17 of 2025, to be considered at report stage. So that is business yet to come on the floor of the House. And currently under consideration is the Independent Broadcasting Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2025, which is being considered at the second reading stage. And just before business was interrupted, we had the Minister of Information and Technology, Science and Technology, who was actually he had already started.
He was presenting the contents of the bill. Yes, indeed, Pauline. And so we do expect the acting Minister of Information and Media to continue the presentation of the bill contents to the House.
Members that are online, there are 10 honorable members that are online. Please come on, switch on your video to be considered to be present. Please come on the switch on your videos.
So in case you just tuned in, bells are still ringing, which signifies that the quorum is not present. It is a requirement that 1/3 of members of Parliament need to be present for business to be transacted on the floor of the House. So once a quorum is constituted, we do expect business of the House to resume.
Yes, under consideration is the Independent Broadcasting Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2025, being considered at the second reading stage. And we still have 2 more bills to be considered, and we have the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 28 of 2025, coming at second reading stage. We also have the Occupational Health and Safety Bill coming at report stage. It is National Assembly Bill number 17 of 2025. So the Occupational Health and Safety Bill, National Assembly Bill number 17 of 2025, is coming at report stage.
Yes, indeed. And so far, Pauline, the House has also considered some questions for oral answer. The House did consider 1 question for oral answer, understanding Order 82. That's a question of urgent nature, and the House also considered 3 questions for oral answer, understanding Order 80. These are questions of ordinary nature.
And we also had a private member's motion that was moved by Kafisa Member of Parliament, Mr. Christopher Kangombe, and in his motion he wanted to urge the House that urges the government to implement measures aimed at increasing the crop yield per hectare for farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program FISIP. And this motion has been seconded by Chilubi Member of Parliament, Mr. Mulenga Fuve, and there was a debate afterwards, and a question was put. The motion was negative, so it was not adopted by the House. And then after that, the House...
There is no quorum, so how can you raise a point of order? I'm just waiting for time. After 5 minutes, 2 minutes, then we call it a day.
So bells are still ringing, meaning a quorum has not yet been constituted. It is a requirement that
so many members have asked for login credentials, but they don't log in.
It is a requirement that 1/3 of
Some
members
just
of
come,
Parliament
sign up and then go. While others, like Honorable Member for Shiwangandu, is always here. Yeah.
So the bells are still ringing. The quorum has not yet been constituted. It is a requirement that 1/3 of members of Parliament need to be present for business to be transacted on the floor of the House. Once a quorum is constituted, we do expect business of the House to resume. We now take you to the floor of the House.
Yes, under consideration is the Independent Broadcasting Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2025, being considered at second reading stage. And just before business was interrupted, we had the Minister of Information and Technology who was actually
he was giving the contents of the Independent Broadcasting Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2025, which has been considered at second reading stage.
Yes, and yet to come, once a quorum is constituted, we still have the Zambia National Broadcasting Corporation Bill to be considered at second reading stage. It's the National Assembly Bill number 28 of 2025, and also the Occupational Health and Safety Bill, National Assembly Bill number 17 of 2025, to be considered at the report stage.
Pauline, we must make mention that we also had earlier on, when business commenced, a presentation of the government bill by the Acting Minister of Finance and National Planning. That's the State-Owned Enterprises Bill, National Assembly Bill number 37 of 2025. The bill was read the first time and referred to the Committee on Parastatal Bodies, and the committee is expected to bring a report to the House in due course.
And of course, some announcements also were made earlier on to recognize visitors from Libala Secondary School in Lusaka. These are pupils and teachers from Libala Secondary School in Lusaka, and also a group of pastors and pastorate. This is a group of pastors who have come together with a vision.
Unfortunately, we have to adjourn. The House is now adjourned.
Very much for staying with us on Parliament. The business of the House has adjourned due to a lack of member. They'll continue 09 hours. But before we end our live broadcast for today, we have a look at what has been discussed on the floor of the House from the time business started at 14 hours. Of course, there were some announcements that were made earlier on, and in one of the announcements, the Honorable Madam Speaker did recognize the presence in the public gallery of a group of pastors who have come together with a vision to supporting children in visitors to the institution.
And in the other announcement, Madam Speaker recognized the presence in the public gallery of pupils and teachers from Libala Secondary School in Lusaka District. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the National Assembly of Zambia, warmly welcomed the visitors to the National Assembly.
And after that, there was a presentation of a government bill, and this is the state-owned enterprises bill, National Assembly Bill number 37 of 2025. This was presented by the Minister of Finance and National Planning. The bill has been committed to the Committee on Parastatal Bodies, and the report of the committee will be considered by the House in due course.
And thereafter, the House went on to consider one question for oral answer under Standing Order 82. This is question 109. It came from Mr. Kalalwe Mukosa, Chinsali, Member of Parliament, and it was directed to the Minister of Water Development and Sanitation. He wanted to know in A, whether the government is aware that for the past 2 weeks, Chinsali district has been experiencing erratic water supply, and the acting minister did respond that government is aware, and this erratic water supply was caused due to an issue from a ZESCO fault at the main transformer. And in B, if so, what urgent measures are being taken to resolve the problem and avert the outbreak of waterborne diseases, the acting minister did respond that immediate measures were taken to ensure continuity of water supply, including deploying water tanks to affected areas. And the minister further stated that the ministry is monitoring the situation and addressing health concerns such as cholera outbreaks.
And in one of the questions that came under standing order number 80, considered on the floor of the House, came from Kanchivia Member of Parliament, Mr. Sunday Chanda, and he directed his question to the Minister of Labour and Social Security. And part A of the question, he wanted to know what measures are being taken to safeguard whistleblowers of unethical behaviour in workplaces, and part B, whether the government conducts random compliance inspections to ensure safe working environments, especially in sectors such as the mining and transport, and part C, if so, how many cases of random inspections were carried out from 2020 to 2024 year by year. And in response to this question, the Minister of Labour and Social Security did mention that the measures that are taken to safeguard whistleblowers of unethical behaviours in workplaces include regular workplace inspections, establishment of toll-free call centre accessible to both employees and employers as well as members of the public. She also mentioned the creation of awareness on the public internet disclosure and also education of prohibiting victimization of employees for reporting labour matters, as well as capacity building for labour officers and on confidentiality and also professionalism. And part B of the question, whether government conducts random compliance inspection to ensure safe working environments, especially in sectors such as mining and transport. The minister did say that the ministry conducts workplace safety and health inspections to ensure compliance, especially in factories, and this is also in line with the Factories Act. And part C, how many cases of random inspections were carried out? And the minister did say that in terms of random inspections which were carried out from 2020 to 2024 as follows: 2020 230 were carried out, 2021 186, 2022 351, 2023 311, and in 2024 239 random inspections were carried out. So that was the response to this question.
We also had question 110, which came from Mr. Darius Mulunda, Siavonga Member of Parliament. His question was directed to the Minister of Mines and Mineral Development. He wanted to know in A, how many of the following licenses were issued for mining activities in Siavonga district as of June 2025, artisanal exploration and mining. And the minister did respond that 29 artisanal mining licenses were issued, 19 to individuals and 10 to cooperatives. On exploration, he did state that 72 licenses were issued and 25 were issued to small-scale miners and 47 to large-scale miners. And in mining, 19 licenses were issued, 10 to small-scale miners and 9 to large-scale miners. In B, of the licenses issued, how many were issued to the residents of the district? The minister did respond that 10 mining cooperatives believed to be citizens of Siavonga were issued. And in C, what measures are being taken to ensure that the local community benefits from the mining activities? The minister did state the following: local content regulations, prioritizing local procurement, employing and training citizens, and transferring technical skills. And in D, how many tons of the following minerals were mined in the district and exported through Chirundu border from 2021 to 2024 year by year? Copper, coal, and fluorite. The minister did actually state that at the moment the primary mineral being mined in Siavonga district is fluorite, and as of 2021 1,252 tons had been produced. In 2022 982 tons had been produced. In 2023 1,579 had been produced, and in 2024 80,000 tons had been produced. So those were the answers to question 101.
Yes, after the questions for oral answer, there was a private member's motion that was moved by Mr. Christopher Kangombe, Member of Parliament for Kamfinsa, and he moved a motion that this House urges the government to implement measures aimed at increasing the crop yield per hectare for farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program (FISIP). And this motion was seconded by Chiluvi Member of Parliament, Mr. Mulenga Fube. After much debate, it was subjected to a vote, and it was negative, meaning that the motion was not adopted by the House.
And after the consideration of that private member's motion, the House went on to consider the Teaching Profession Bill, National Assembly Bill number 14 of 2025 at second reading stage. And the bill is expected to be considered at committee stage in due course.
And at the time business was interrupted, the House was considering the Independent Broadcasting Authority Bill, National Assembly Bill number 27 of 2025, which was being considered at second reading stage. And due to a lack of quorum, the House did adjourn business for today until tomorrow.
Yes, Pauline, and so basically that's the business that the House has considered today. On behalf of Pauline Monga and the entire production crew and the 2 sign language interpreters, we wish you a pleasant evening. It's bye from all of us here.